Hi everybody, this is Katie Frekhtman, a New York City personal injury trial attorney, and I just got back to New York City. I was away at the Dordick Trial College last week, and I really enjoyed it. It was a very, very educational experience. I met a lot of interesting lawyers, saw some old friends, met some new people. It was great. I think I was the only lawyer from New York there, although I did hear there was an attorney from Connecticut there, and there were a lot of lawyers from Indiana, Chicago, a lot of California lawyers, and lawyers from across the country, Texas, Florida, all over. So today I wanted to answer a question from one of our viewers, and it was a comment that I received while I was down at the trial college. And the comment said, could you please do a video about a motorcycle accident against the municipality when you're suing New York City? Okay, so basically if you are on a motorcycle and you get hit by a city vehicle, such as a New York City Transit Authority bus, or you get hit by a sanitation truck, for example, and that would be a lawsuit against New York City. The important thing to remember about lawsuits against New York City is that you have to file what's known as a notice of claim. And that just basically means that you have to notify the city of your intention to make a claim. And that just tells them the date when the accident happened, the time when the accident happened, the place or location where the accident happened, what happened, and then your injuries or your symptoms. And so that's the kind of information you have to give them in a notice of claim, and a notice of claim has to be filed within 90 days of the accident. That's very, very important. Now, if you're late, you can ask for an extension, and it's up to the court's discretion. The court could allow you more time, but you really should try to get it done within 90 days. You could do it yourself. You just go online and you click a link and you fill out a form, or you could have an attorney do it if you hire an attorney. That's always better because there are a lot of pitfalls and there's a lot of appellate division case law with respect to notice of claims. In fact, some of our cases are the precedents that get cited. Cases that we've won are the precedents that get cited by the Court of Appeals and the Second Department. So there's a lot of appellate case law about this whole notice of claim thing. But after you do that, they have a chance to do a hearing where they question you. And that is either the city or one of the city agencies, such as the New York City Transit Authority or whoever you end up suing. And then they have a chance to question you. And that is known as a general municipal law section 50H hearing. And they're going to ask you questions like what happened, what are your injuries, what medical treatment have you had, things like that, kind of like a deposition. But they get to do that before you even file a lawsuit in New York City, right? Then after they've done the hearing and after you filed your notice of claim, you file a lawsuit. And in the lawsuit, you have to say, I've done a hearing, I filed my notice of claim. Those are known as conditions precedent, meaning you have to satisfy those conditions. You have to jump through those hoops in order to file a lawsuit. If you don't do that and you file a lawsuit, it's considered legally defective and they could just dismiss your lawsuit. So those are very important things. The notice of claim comes first, and then the hearing, the 50H hearing. Now, sometimes they may not ask you for a hearing. That's pretty rare. They usually do, but sometimes they may not even ask you for a hearing. So that's usually how it works, right? Then you file the lawsuit. Once you file the lawsuit, it pretty much works like any case against the private defendant, except it'll be the corporation counsel that will answer. And they have offices in Manhattan at 100 Church Street, I believe 350 J Street in Brooklyn. They have one in the Bronx near the courthouse. They have one in Queens. And it's the corporation counsel, and that is a part of the city of New York that will handle the case. And then there are special preliminary conference forms for when you file a lawsuit. Once the city appears in the lawsuit and you go see the judge and the judge does a scheduling order, you'll have special forms with the city depending on the type of case, because the city handles a lot of different types of cases. So they have pre-printed forms for every type of case. And you fill out the PC, which is the preliminary conference. Then you do deposition. So now the city can question you again, right? They've already questioned you in the 50H. They get to do it again. You then can question any witness you want from the city. You could serve notices for discovery to obtain documents from the city. Oftentimes they don't respond, or it's very hard to get discovery from them. You may have to make a motion. It's good to be friendly with the assigned corporation counsel who's handling your case, because then maybe they would give you something as a courtesy rather than making a motion, because sometimes making a motion just to get basic discovery can take months. It could delay your case for even up to a year. It just doesn't make sense, right? So if you're friendly with the corporation counsel, maybe they can just get it for you, and that way you avoid motion practice. And then once you have what you need to prove your case, you certify the case, you put it on the trial calendar, and then it just goes on to the trial calendar like any other case. So pretty much, just at the beginning stage is different, and otherwise it's the same. Now, the only other way that it's different is that there's no insurance policy, right? If you get hit by a car, you could be subject to a $25,000 insurance policy. You can't get more than $25,000. With the city, there's no policy. It's just the sky's the limit. It's the budget of New York City. So there could be a case for 10 million, 20 million, whatever, right? So that's a good thing. But the bad thing is that they'll take a long time because it's in the city part or the transit part. And so it's a different part from private litigation. And so if a private case, once it goes on the trial calendar, could be ready, let's say in a year, maybe year and a half, the city case may get stuck for 2 or 3 or more years. I know there are administrative judges that are now doing a program so that the courts really adhere to the standards and goals dates, which are the court's own deadlines, and they're trying to speed everything up, and it's working in Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn. The Bronx is the only place. I think there was one judge that was trying to really spearhead the program to speed it up in the Bronx, and it was working before the pandemic hit, but then during the pandemic, during COVID, he retired, and I'm not sure what's happening with the Bronx. It's a big question mark. Hopefully they'll follow suit. Every other borough in New York City is doing it, and the Bronx is a very plaintiff-friendly venue, so we want those cases coming quickly. We don't want to be waiting. So, but in terms of a motorcycle accident, I mean, it pretty much works the same way, very similar to a car accident. I couldn't really say how, I guess the person who had the comment, if they want to reach out to me, if they want to text me, I could talk to you about, depending on how the incident happened, if it was with a garbage truck, like sanitation, if it was with a New York City Transit Authority bus, or maybe there was some kind of a defect in either the roadway, like a pothole, or on the sidewalk, or some kind of a curb defect that, if it wasn't a crash, it just had a motorcycle incident. So it's kind of hard for me to know, but depending on what happened, once I see the facts, I like to know the facts, kind of like you're watching it on a movie screen, right? Once I know the facts, then I can give you much more information about the liability. And then in terms of the damages, the person did not mention any injuries. So again, I would have to be fact specific depending on what the injuries are. We could, either give you some guidance as to which doctors to see or how to best build the case. We're happy to do it, whether you have a lawyer or you don't, just if you want some, free advice, like a second opinion, we're happy to do that as a courtesy, because our main goal is helping serious injury victims and their families. So that's what we're here for. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. Let us know what questions you have. But cases against the city of New York, whether it's a motorcycle case like this user had a question, or other cases, they're fairly straightforward. It's just those few things at the beginning, the notice of claim, the 50H, and then it goes into a different part and it's a little slower. But the good thing is it's unlimited, so you could get a big verdict. In fact, we had a case right before the pandemic where there was a zero offer, and the assigned attorney was saying they're never going to pay, zero all the way, big, egg, whatever, zero, nothing. And then we started the trial, and because we did a good job in the trial, right before the jury was about to come in with the verdict, we ended up settling the case. That attorney, the assistant corporation counsel for the city, called in the supervisor. The supervisor came in, the judge, and us. I was there as the trial attorney, and then we ended up settling the case for $1.5 million. So you see, you could definitely get very good funds and very good compensation with the city of New York. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. Let us know what questions you have. We are here for you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.